Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you clicked on this video, and as you can tell, I'm bringing you my first ever what I watched, rounding out all the things that I've been watching in the last quarter of this year. So I am going to be telling you all about the movies and TV shows that I've watched since January up until like the middle of May when I'm filming this, and maybe you'll get some recommendations from this. The first TV show that I want to tell you about, and the only TV show that I am currently watching like myself, is Yellow Jackets. So I recently just got Paramount Plus, and I have kind of binged Yellow Jackets. I've heard so many people rant and rave about this TV show and thought it was time that I give it a go myself, and I am so glad that I did. This TV show is turning out to be one of my favourite ones. So this TV show has me so engrossed in the storyline. So if you don't know, Yellow Jackets is a TV show about this team of football players, soccer if you're American, and they go on a plane to attend a football event, and their plane crashes and they have to survive in the wilderness by themselves for a really long period of time, and they have to do things out there that they're not entirely proud of, and it's like a split perspective, like time split. So we're following the girls in the 90s when this is all happening, and then in present day when they're much older and have families and everything of their own. So yeah, I am really loving it. It's so good. I've catched up now to like episode 7 of season 2, and the last 2 episodes were incredible. Like, they're so emotional. I swear the acting in this is beyond good. So this TV show has me hooked, and I'm so excited to keep watching this and seeing where it goes. But yeah, that is something that I wanted to mention because I am currently watching it, and it's like literally a 5-star TV show so far, and I'm loving watching every episode. Although I'm quite annoyed now that I've caught up and I have to wait for the episodes weekly now, but I guess that's my own fault for doing it. So moving on into the Letterboxd section, the first movie that I watched this year was Luca, which is the Disney animated movie about a boy, well, a fish boy, who turns into a human on land, but if he gets hit by water he turns into a fish. It's so cute. I thoroughly enjoyed the storyline on this movie, and I think it came out in 2021. So the next movie that I watched is Till. It's a drama true story film, and it's about a boy called Emmett Till who was accused of certain acts, and this movie tells his story, and it is very brutal. That I kind of got annoyed watching it, but at the same time it's very good to highlight these things, to make people more aware of what other communities go through. So yeah, this movie was very hard hitting and was shot so well, that I thoroughly enjoyed it, even though the topic was a bit grim. But nevertheless, the movie was still very entertaining, and I enjoyed watching it to find out the actual story. But again, it is a hard-hitting movie, so I wouldn't say it's for everybody, but I would highly recommend checking it out if you don't know this story already. Next up, we have Missing. So I went to see this movie on an unlimited screening about 3 months before it was actually scheduled for release here in the UK, which was quite surprising because I thought that it was going to come out at the end of January, but it didn't. It didn't come out until the end of April, So I was quite lucky in that sense. Basically, I have a cinema card that I pay for monthly that gets me unlimited movies, and there are secret screenings of films that aren't out yet or different things like that. So there's a lot of benefits and perks, and watching this movie 3 months before it came out was definitely one of those perks. But Missing is a movie that is told through modern day media. So it's filmed through webcams, text messages, WhatsApp calls, pretty much set out like Unfriended, and on search. I don't remember what it's called, but basically these movies that are set up to look like a computer screen or something like that. And I don't usually enjoy those. They are like average for me, but for some reason Missing kind of just stood out. It follows a girl who is scheduled to pick up her mum from the airport after her trip, and when she gets the alert after partying that her mum is supposed to be at the airport in like literally now, she panics and heads that way and ends up spending a really long time there trying to wait for her mum to arrive, and she never turns up. So it becomes this whole investigation, what exactly happened to her mum, and she becomes this detective and tries to figure out where her mum actually is. It's very good. The plot twist in this movie wasn't something that I expected in the beginning, so it was very entertaining. And then we have one of my most anticipated movies of 2023, which was Knock at the Cabin, which was directed by M. Night Shyamalan. This was one of my highly anticipated releases because it sounded so entertaining. I've been meaning to read the book. I never actually got around to reading Paul Tremblay's book, which is what this movie is based on. It follows this couple who goes to a cabin where these strangers turn up and they say that they need them to do something that will save the world from the apocalypse. So it's very bizarre, and it had a lot of like horror and suspense build up in the marketing. I was highly anticipating this and went in to watch it, and I guess I was kind of let down. Like, the movie had some thrilling elements, very suspenseful, but nothing really came of it. People aren't very happy with the ending because it's completely different from the book. I cannot comment on that because I haven't actually read it yet. But in terms of just the movie, I thought it was pretty average in terms of how it was portrayed in the trailers and within marketing. So I was kind of let down whenever I was like reviewing this. So if I thought it was an average watch, I give it a 3-star. Then next up we have The Menu, which I finally got around to watching. This is on Disney Plus, so I watched it on one of my days off at work, and yeah, this one was completely different. It wasn't anything that I had expected. I've never seen a horror movie that was based around food in a restaurant, so I really enjoyed that. It was very different. So basically The Menu follows this couple who go to an island, which is an exclusive restaurant by this famous chef, and all the meals are cooked to tailor towards the people who are attending this restaurant. So he creates this lavish menu for his special guests, and then reveals some shocking surprises throughout this movie. And the twists and turns were so intriguing. I thoroughly enjoyed watching them. The attention to detail when shooting them making the food was so incredible. Like, I don't know why, but it was just so different, that I really enjoyed watching it. It had something new to the horror element It wasn't very in your face. It was subtle but very surprising. We have another horror movie, which was Barbarian. Again, I watched this on Disney Plus, and I think I watched it on the same day that I watched The Menu. And Barbarian really stood out for me, as it has done many people in this horror community. Everybody is ranting and raving about Barbarian, how it was like one of the best horror movies of 2022, and I do agree. The juxtaposition within this movie was incredible, like the effects as well, like very good. It was very creepy. So Barbarian follows this woman who seeks out this Airbnb. So she stays in this Airbnb that somebody else has booked at the same time, and she decides to stay in the house as well as the other person. And she starts to uncover loads of different things, and she starts to uncover that this house has more secrets and surprises than just a house guest. I went into watching this and saw that she was driving up this deserted like street, but there was one house like open, and I was thinking to myself, there's no way I would get out of the car at this point. If I saw that the whole street was deserted and a ghost town, but this one house was open and fine and looked perfect that people were staying in, I would have screamed red flags in the beginning. And then she saw a house guest and thought, oh, it's okay, I'll have company. I'll stay a night. Yeah, just it screamed red flags, and I wouldn't have stayed if it was me, but she did, and starts to uncover the secrets of this house. So it was very intriguing. It was different, and I keep saying it, but I did enjoy it, and it is definitely worth watching if you haven't watched it yet. And then we have the iconic Scream 6. So this one that I watched, my boyfriend actually went to the cinema with me to watch this one, which was very nice. He likes the Scream movies, so yeah, it was quite nice. This one was so much better than 5. I thought this one was well thought out. The storyline was great, and they did a good job of making you think that it was different, that Ghostface was different people. When you had an idea of who it was, they would find a way to make you believe that it wasn't them. And this one was very good. I really enjoyed the new setting in New York. So yeah, this one I'd give a 5-star, because who doesn't love a good Ghostface movie? Then the next movie that I want to talk to you about is Dungeons and Dragons. This is another movie that I went to see as an unlimited screening. We seen this like a month before it was actually released, and it was actually really good. And the plot kind of twist and turn, and it was like the plot was developing throughout the movie. Like once one plot had happened, it fell apart. Then we picked up a new one. So yeah, it was very entertaining, and it's a bit like the game in that sense. So the movie is actually about a group of thieves who go on a quest to get back the main character's daughter. And it goes through twists and turns, like I said. So it's very entertaining, it's really funny, and yeah, I thought it was very, very, very good. And I enjoyed it. So I give this one a 5 as well. I watched this one by myself, and it's called The Strays. It was a Netflix thriller that came out in early March, I believe. So this follows a woman who has a lavish lifestyle, more privileged, in the suburbs, and then her life starts to unravel, and her privilege starts to dwindle back to who she was before she became this person. When 2 strangers turn up into her house, they start to wreak havoc on her life, and this movie had you very confused throughout. You have no idea, like, if she's crazy or like losing her mind. And then you start to see her past and what she goes through and who these people are. So on the surface, this movie highlights areas of trauma, privilege, morality, mental illness, and like race. And it's very daunting in a way that makes you feel sorry for her. So The Strays probably doesn't come across as a horror movie in itself, but it very much is. It highlights a lot of real life horrors in an unconventional way, and I thought it was very good. It was excellent story writing, and it's interesting to see the shift in family dynamic within this movie. So I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I give it a 5-star as well. The next movie that I want to talk to you about is We Have a Ghost, which is a dark comedy, or just a comedy movie that came out on Netflix recently, and it follows this boy who befriends a ghost in his new house and tries to solve his death, and then it goes on from there. So this movie was very entertaining. It was funny and very cute. I really enjoyed David Harbour's portrayal of Ernest the ghost. Was so lovable. It made you really feel sorry for the character, and you also wanted to find out what actually happened to him as well. So yeah, this movie was very, very good. And then we also watched Murder Mystery 2, which I think came out in April, some Friday after we got back from our holiday. And yeah, so we watched it and it was very good. If you don't know, the first Murder Mystery was about a couple who go on this holiday and stumble upon a murder, and then they try to solve it, get tangled up in the investigation themselves, become suspects, and go on this whole adventure. Basically this is the second one. They follow the same couple, and another murder happens and they're thrown straight into the middle of it again and try to solve it. This one wasn't as good as the first one. I give the first one a 5-star. It was incredible. I really love Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston's chemistry on screen. And again, it was shown in this movie, but I didn't enjoy it as much. So I only give this one a 4-star. Finally, I got to watch Smile. So I was meaning to get to see this in cinema for ages, but time is never lined up, and I had to go on my own, so it was a bit hit and miss with other commitments coming up. But when I saw that it was on Paramount Plus, I decided to take the leap and actually get around to watching it finally. And oh my god, it was incredible. This has been like my favorite movie of the year. It was so creepy, even though it was a smile. Smiles are supposed to be fun and cheerful and make you feel good, but seeing the smiles in this movie were so creepy and disturbing in such a good way. It was so entertaining to watch, and I love it. And it's so good to hear that there's going to be a second one. I just hope that it's going to be as good. Smiles, plot twist, and ending was something that really shocked me. Normally I can tell what's coming in these types of movies, but I was hit hard with this one. Did not see that coming. I was so proud when we first seen the ending, and then things just shift and it's just completely different. So that's why I really enjoyed this one. It was so good. And then we have another good horror movie that came out in April, which was Renfield, and I loved this movie. This was so funny, and seeing Nicolas Cage play Dracula, that's something else. It was so good. I've never seen him act like this, and it was very entertaining to watch. I really enjoyed the humor aspect in this, and how gothic but very retro that it looked. It had the very Dracula-esque side of the story, but it's mixed with neon and like these fun lights. And then we have Terrifier. So if you watched my clown vlog, you will know my thoughts on Terrifier already. I don't I don't want to relive it. I was so physically disturbed watching this movie. I usually don't mind gore. It's what makes horror horror, and Terrifier is just another level. It's just crazy. I went into it thinking it would be fine to watch because I could read about clowns now. That's not the case. I don't like clowns, especially killer clowns. Basically, Terrifier follows Art the Clown, that is a serial killer, and he goes around killing people in the most disturbing ways possible, and he doesn't talk. He is a silent killer, and it's very creepy, and he has this gross smile that just pops up on the screen, and it's just ugh. I can't handle creepy clowns. I definitely know that for sure now, and watching it I was so physically disturbed, and I think it was because of the clown aspect. And I have two other movies on this list. The first one is The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. So this is a very niche movie. You'll probably only know of it if you're in the UK. So this movie is based on a best-selling novel that is about a man called Harold Fry who gets a letter from his sick friend who is dying of cancer at the other end of the country, and he travels from Kent, or is it Dorset? I don't remember whereabouts it is, but basically he travels from the south of England all the way up to the north of England on the border with Scotland, which is like 500 600 miles, so it's a pretty long distance, and he decides to walk it, and doesn't go prepared, and it basically becomes this pilgrimage, and you follow him on his journey to his sick friend. So it's very nice and nostalgic because you're following this old man on his journey, because he feels like he has to do this, that it's going to save his friend from dying. It's hard hitting. The topics covered in this are pretty deep, where it comes from like domestic in the home, and it covers alcoholism, drug abuse, suicide. All of these elements are thrown into this story, and it hits you hard at certain points, because it's on his journey. He takes you through his past, and you learn what he's gone through that led him to this point, and why he wants to go and save his friend. And for me, I have a really strong connection to my grandfather, and like anything with elderly people, I kind of get a little bit emotional. So watching this as like a movie based on elderly people was very hard hitting, and his son was called David, and at one point Harold breaks down and like cries about his son David, which kind of relates into like my family as well. So at one point it did kind of hit me, and I got a bit choked. So this movie, I would say, is very heart-wrenching, but it's still like a feel-good movie in a sense, because of his journey and why he's doing what he's doing, and it comes full circle. It's a beautiful story, and the cast were lovely. It was very well done, and yeah, I'm glad I went to see it in the cinema. It was very good, and if you can watch it, I would highly suggest picking it up. Finally, the last movie that I'm going to talk to you about is called Clock. So Clock, I watched like literally 3 days ago. It's on Disney Plus. It follows a woman who doesn't want children, and her biological clock is running out. So she goes to get it fixed. Goes to this like facility where they treat her for this problem that she's having because she feels like she doesn't want children. So they're trying to fix this, and it starts to mess with her mental capabilities, and in a way she starts to want children again and all of this stuff, and then she starts to go like mentally insane in a way, and she does things that she doesn't even know that she's done. Yeah, it's very deep. This movie highlights a lot of things that women kind of go through these days, where we don't want children. Some of us just want to live our lives and don't really believe that children are a necessity right now, especially as a young woman who's like having a career and doing well. They don't want to have children at this point. And in this movie, Diane Argan, who plays the lead, is this in a way. She is a professional woman who is very successful and has a lot of jobs coming up, and her friends around her are pregnant, and she just doesn't want children. So there's this mentality in society that women are supposed to be the child bearers, the stay-at-home moms, and we shouldn't have our own lives. And the movie kind of highlights this, and people around this main character have this mentality that she should want to have children. There's something wrong with her because she doesn't. And then she tries to change herself to fit into society's norms. And this resonates a lot with me. I was watching it and feeling so many emotions. Like, I hate that society makes us think that we have to have children. This movie translates horror into real life horror. Whilst there's elements that probably will never happen in real life, the premise behind this horrific activity in the movie is highlighted within society today. Watching this movie was very much an eye-opener, and I thought it was very entertaining. This movie was so good, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. So I think that I really enjoyed this movie, and I rated it a 5-star. So that is my roundup. This one is much longer than my usual videos, but I thought I would recap all of the movies that I've watched in the last 4 to 5-ish months. Those are the movies, and I hope you have enjoyed. Do let me know which ones you've seen or that you want to see. Hopefully I have done them justice in this video and make you want to watch them at some point. Probably. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you want to see from me next. And I will see you again soon. Bye.